companies are really looking to be more authentic and drive more storytelling and really connect with their consumers on a whole nother level beyond the actual product or the transactions in the store or online. You can't underestimate the fact that every single interaction with consumers matter, that social strategy has become a core part of every strategy for retail, especially the holiday time. And social media just will continue to be part of our lives, from the discovery to engagement to learning about new products and what's trending.
You're listening to Retail Remix, your inside access to candid conversations with the people shaping retail's future. Here's your host, Alicia Esposito.
All right, everyone. We have our first holiday-focused pod dropping today. If you know me and the show and my coverage, you know I love digging into all things holiday shopping. And I think we're going to kick things off with the perfect person to talk about the top trends and top imperatives for retail success. Rael, who is director and consult partner at Kynryl. Now, just a bit of context, and we'll get into it at the top of the episode, but Brendan and I have known each other for a while, have interacted with the same people, had the same friends and partners, have chatted a few times at industry shows, but we have never, ever done a show together. So was very excited to get him on the record officially, have him on the show and really share his take on what he's hearing from clients, what he's tracking in the industry, including what's new in social shopping, how omnichannel fulfillment will drive holiday sales results, and of course, what the two elephants in the room will do this holiday season. And by elephants, I'm talking about Shein and Temu, and most importantly, how other brands and retailers can respond. Ladies and gentlemen, please meet Brendan, and let's dig into the holiday season. Brandon, thanks so much for being on the pod. This has been a long time coming. Thanks so much for being here.
It's such a pleasure to be here, Alicia. And we traveled in the same circles for a long time, and somehow we've never really connected over a podcast or a collab. So we're excited to make this work.
Yeah, absolutely. We're making it official now. So like you mentioned, we do have a bit of background or history, but for those listening who may be unfamiliar with your career, the level of your work, why don't you start by sharing a little bit about your work currently at Kynryl, which is where you are now, your history in retail, and I guess the bigger point here is like what you've been watching over the past year, the big themes, the big trends you've been tracking. I always like to provide that as a baseline because you're in this, you're living and breathing this every day. So what are you seeing right now?
Exactly. Well, thank you for the intro. And I've been in and around the retail and consumer industries my entire career and started Kynryl about 5 months ago. And Kynryl, for those who aren't aware, is a 90,000 person startup. We're in our second year of existence. So we were a carve out from IBM, and we are now a publicly traded company, and we're continuing to grow our brand and our eminence. And I'm part of the team called Consult, which is really the strategy and operations arm of the company, where I work in partnership with retailers and our Kynryl team to really improve business operations, transform business models, and then leveraging the right technologies, such as whether it's commerce related or digital or optimizing supply chains or anywhere we can leverage all of these capabilities, our infrastructure and digital and everywhere else to unlock value, reduce costs, drive profitability, and most importantly, drive outstanding customer experiences. And my career, really is quite a unique journey. I actually was a retailer, worked for Macy's, Foot Locker, Royal Stores, and Aeropostale. I held various roles across merchandising and planning, assortment planning and buying, inventory management, et cetera. But I've always been passionate about transformation and growth and change and leveraging technology to solve complex business challenges. So I think definitely in the right trajectory right now, and Kynryl is well poised to grow as well. So it's a really good fit. In terms of where we are right now, it's I think over the course of my career, I've always embraced change. I've always appreciated the fact that retail and commerce, the fundamentals really are the same. I mean, we're seeing a lot of the emergence of digital first commerce models, and lots of innovations have become part of our daily lives. It's so intuitive. Yet it still comes down to execution at store level, having the right product at the right place at the right time. That model hasn't changed and never will. Now, the biggest difference is that with all the diverse models is the place that has evolved. That we're looking at physical, digital, We're looking at social commerce channels and a hybrid of all these combinations. So the art of discovery has changed, and that's really resonated with some of the key trends we've been tracking the past year. One of them is we're continuing to see the emergence of social commerce. Social media is such an intuitive part of our lives now, and it's really poised to play a significant role in the retail landscape throughout the 2024 holiday season. Some projections globally are looking at growth over $1 trillion by 2025, with the holiday season being a key driver of this growth. So it's continue to see people just shopping while they're actually engaging with TikTok and also Instagram and others. It's really resonating with Gen Z shoppers. 54% of them are shopping via social channels, and 45% of millennials are using social media for holiday purchases. So it's really a crucial channel for product discovery and purchases. The second area we're seeing is personalization at scale, which is almost a contradiction. It's personalization is one-to-one. But with AI and automation capabilities and powerful personalization engines, retailers really need to invest in AI-driven personalization. It's really going to help drive those tailored recommendations and targeted promotions and dynamic pricing and that value consumers are looking for throughout the holiday season. The third area is all about seamlessness, seamless shopping experiences. So retailers that I've spoken to and throughout the industry, they're continuing to make investments in unified inventory systems, really driving commerce models that are consistent, and they have cross-channel promotions to enhance convenience. And that's really also evolved. In the fourth area is supply chain optimization, making sure you're scaled up your operations, you have enough logistics and supply chain capabilities where you have real-time inventory management, access for your customers, access for your associates. They can actually see where the products are across the supply chain, whether they're in the store or in the warehouse, or they can be fulfilled from other stores. And it's really empowering customers to have a choice and see where the product is. And it's really giving them retailers a capability to anticipate demand trends and forecast inventory levels. And the third area in that group is really last mile, where we see a lot more rise of BOPIS and curbside pickup and last mile fulfillment. So it's continuing to be a difference maker. Another area is immersive commerce. It's kind of in the background. So I think customers are really looking for interactive experiences, whether it's the AR or VR technology or virtual try-ons. It's not a significant part of the retail model yet, but it's going to emerge and grow as consumers engage with the metaverse and there's new ways to engage with customers. And the last one is really, the sixth one is about flexible payment options. People are balancing budgets, so providing ways to buy now, pay later. It's been around a very long time with layaway and others, but now with the emergence of Klarna and the firm and others, it's becoming increasingly popular as consumers make larger purchases and balance their budget. So overall, yeah, I think it's we're seeing acceleration in how consumers shop and their behaviors are changing. So it's really imperative for retailers to make strategic investments in the people, technology, and capabilities and shift their models to be far more flexible and keep their focus on the customer.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, all of these trends have taken shape annually, right? Like these things are emerging and evolving pretty consistently, but it seems like anytime holiday discussions start to roll around, they start to heighten. Given that this year the holiday season is shorter, possibly a bit more squeezed between, if we're looking solely at Thanksgiving to Christmas Day, right? Do you think that this urgency is heightened this year to tackle all of these areas? Like, I guess I'm trying to understand the pressure points for retailers. Are they really ramping up investments in these areas? How are they best prioritizing, again, just given this shorter period that we're looking at this year?
Yeah, great point, Alicia. I think we've also seen we go right from back to school to Halloween, and almost immediately after or before, we see Mariah Carey emerging with the holiday season coming up. So it's everything's been accelerated, I think, but there's a lot of optimism in the air. And our efforts were projected a 2.5 to 3% increase in retail sales in 2024. So it could really look to a total of 5.2 trillion to 5.3 trillion. So lots of optimism. There's been a relative improvement in inflation rates and some more consumer confidence. But that with a shorter shopping period, where now only have between Thanksgiving and Christmas is 27 days. So I think retailers are definitely have to be ahead of the curve here. If they have existing challenges or ongoing issues with their supply chain fulfillment strategies, I think they've already addressed these or are in the process of addressing these. But really, the biggest imperative for retailers is to start to initiate their outreach into social selling and drive these promotions earlier and offer these values earlier and just get the interest well before Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I think there is definitely going to be a lot of demand and opportunity. Just you have to do a way as strategic, and it's going to attract the consumers to shop early in the season, even before Black Friday.
It's an interesting point of debate, I think, between not just individuals in the industry, but a lot of the research and sources that we've covered, how early consumers want to shop. Because on one side, it's the reality that they do want to be savvier and they do want to find the best possible deal. But then it's like there's either a group of consumers or, I know I personally kind of battle with this internally of like, oh, do I just hold out and see if there are going to be any last minute deals or if Black Friday is going to be better than all these other promotions that folks are running. So it's a bit of like a psychology, right? Like behind this process. But on the retailer side, it's the discussion of how early and how aggressively do we want to promote certain products and what does that marketing and promotional calendar look like in greater detail so we can maximize our revenue potential, right? And I think that's the big play here. So what recommendations do you have? Because on one side, I understand the need to get in front of consumers, kind of start taking that drip approach, so to speak, for marketing, so you're top of mind.
Sure.
But how do you run your promotions strategically so you're not, I guess, being too aggressive from a margin standpoint?
Good point. Yeah, there has always been a balance of protecting your margins and EBITDA and waiting to drive your aggressive promotions later, whether it's during Black Friday or even into the first or second week of December. But like you mentioned, it's retailers are prescriptively and more strategically increasing their promotional activities earlier than usual and with a compressed shopping season. So it might be worthwhile to actually offer more attractive deals earlier, or even gradual promotions as we progress into October or so, and see if there's an interest. And you have more touch points with consumers now. You have the voice of the consumer, not just in the physical stores or the commerce channels, now social commerce, and live streaming. So there's multiple ways to gain customer sentiment and interest. And yeah, there's a fine line between your aggressive promotions and email outreaches or texting or messaging or whatever the strategies may be, between offering compelling offers, but also going too far where it comes almost spam-like. So there's a delicate balance, but there's also a delicate balance in protecting your margins. But there are ways of doing that as well, to not offer everything at a discount, but maybe some strategic things to get them in the door. And then there's always the full price offers whether they're in the physical store or online, that may be appealing as well. And then offering free shipping and other promotional activities or points are also a big advantage too.
Some good points there. And I think what I find interesting is how brands can balance the purely promotional aspects, which, there are always going to be some tentpole moments where you can use promotions to drive that urgency and get people to convert, with the more like value added components of marketing and customer experience. And you mentioned a little bit earlier the need for relevance, more personalization. What I personally love seeing around the holiday time is like how curation comes into play, whether that's in the form of curated gift lists or product drops or collections. I'm wondering, is this going to be an even more critical time for brands and retailers to up their creativity? Again, knowing that there is, a bit of a tighter peak holiday season, I guess I should say. And this is going to be a year probably where a lot of brands are going to be creating a lot of noise around their promotional activities. Is that personalization and curation piece like a big point of differentiation this year?
That's a major point, Alicia. I think it's differentiation through curation as a strategy. I think if you're overly promoting your products and you're too aggressive with your deals, and you might actually change the perception of what you are and might diminish your brand equity a bit. So, but if you have a collection, an aesthetic, and that's pretty hot on TikTok, et cetera, or a new look or a new curated assortment, then I think that's a way to drive interest and growth, especially with the emerging Gen Z consumer and Gen Alpha consumers and millennials in general. They're looking for that experience, that aesthetic, that look, and that may actually motivate consumers to buy things full price and then sell at the most aggressive promotional rates. So again, it ties back to balancing curation with personalization, with also having the right products and assortments. We've seen retailers like Abercrombie and Fitch who just have transformed the business model, and they're really resonating with the consumers now. And they're one of the comeback stories of the year. But it's all about their collections, their aesthetic, the quality of the products, and the consistency of the experience, which has really helped to transform and actually led to the major comeback. So it is possible. It's a balancing act that ultimately it's about the product and experience.
Absolutely. I think this kind of ties nicely to the value of social and how it really brings that aesthetic that you mentioned to life and helps amplify it, right?
Yep.
And now we're seeing so many new capabilities, especially, through TikTok, and then Instagram's usually not far behind as far as any new updates they make to their platform. And the creative opportunities, I think, really shine through during marketing periods and content creation periods, such as the holiday season. And, you mentioned at the top that social commerce is going to be very critical this year in particular. I'm curious, when you refer to social commerce, do you look at this as sales happening within the platforms themselves? Because again, like they've gotten a bit more rich and robust in that area. Or are you thinking about it more holistically, as in like social influencing purchase behaviors online, like through click-throughs or, reels that link to products? Like how are you defining and attributing social commerce?
Yeah, that's a great point and questions. I think it's very dynamic because everything influences our buying decisions, and now social commerce is such an intuitive part of our experience and our discovery that it does have a direct and indirect influence on what we buy as consumers. We've seen the emergence of TikTok with their TikTok shop and Instagram with their links to retailers' commerce sites. It's become a lot more seamless and in ways that's integrated. However, you can't underestimate the indirect or the subtle influence it has on consumers as these brands really have video content out there that's going to resonate with them, that's authentic, that has that look and aesthetic that consumers are looking for. You can certainly measure it, and see where it's quantifiably grown, either in the social platforms or there's been click-throughs to the retailer sites. So it's going to continue to play a significant role, not just on the commerce platforms or the actual TikTok platform, et cetera, but it may actually result in consumers going to the store and experiencing and trying the products on and just enjoying a good experience in the store. So it certainly has a lot of influence, and the importance of social commerce will continue to increase as we move forward, especially with promotions.
So, with all that in mind, any other tips or thoughts around how brands should be thinking about their social strategy this holiday season? Because one thing I personally am loving is, how so many brands are going beyond just the typical messaging pillars, so to speak, of holiday. Like those are still very present, but it seems like, brands are more eager to embrace, cultural moments and be a little funny, even kitschy with their social content because they really are starting to see it as a component of their brand personality and the more emotional aspects that they can tap into to engage with their consumers. So anything that you're seeing that you're excited about or anything that you would consider best practice for holiday?
Yeah, I think it's been great to see the evolution that companies are really looking to be more authentic and drive more storytelling and really connect with their consumers on a whole nother level beyond the actual product or the transactions in the store or online. You can't underestimate the fact that every single interaction with consumers matter, that social strategy has become a core part of every strategy for retail, especially the holiday time. And social media just will continue to be part of our lives, from the discovery to engagement to learning about new products and what's trending. So social influencers, both the superstars and also micro influencers, will have such an impact on our buying decisions. And brands are really embracing it now. They're being very authentic, being more strategic about their partnerships, and they're allowing influencers to represent their core values of the brands and where they want to go directionally, and really taking a stand on social issues or other political issues in that matter. So authenticity definitely matters, and storytelling is definitely driving a lot more interest in brands.
That's great. Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to see how brands embrace storytelling, embrace creators, even like the largest ones to the smaller creators, emerging creators that have really tight knit communities, even like store associates, right? And, you mentioned like things happening in the store. I think there's a lot of opportunity there, especially if there's a way to connect the storytelling dots, so to speak, to must have products and to new product drops or, special sales that are exclusive to social followers. I'm just kind of spitballing here and making
No, but
things
you're
up
right
as I
though.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think it ties to the reality that, people do love creativity and people love content, but they are still price conscious, right? Like they have a budget that they are trying to stick to. So I think that'll be the interesting thing to watch, like how brands strike that balance.
Yeah, that's an interesting commentary because there's a fear of missing out element from social media, and we're bombarded with it every day. And we always feel like we want to be part of the community, part of the movement, part of the trends. And, but also we have to somehow balance our budgets and be, the conscious consumerism is there. I think we're coming off such a long period of inflationary economy and supply chain disruption. And we're seeing the housing market challenges, et cetera, and people are balancing the budgets. So I think it ties back to consumers making more strategic shopping decisions, but also retailers, as I said earlier, should be the best offers early to drive that value and drive the promotional strategies that will lead to enhancing not just the amount of products you buy during the holiday season, but the customer lifetime value and really extending its deals early and often. So I think if you look at the fast fashion elements, where it's such an attractive area because of the value and the cost is so low to buy these products, they're a force. If you look at Shein and Temu, they're a force to be reckoned with. They're there. But I think retailers should not focus on that necessarily. The Sheins and Temus of the world, but really rather their execution strategies at the store and of course their commerce and social channels that continue to provide high quality products and collections at compelling price points and provide those flexible fulfillment strategies to help the consumers get what they need early. And that'll be really a winning combination for the holiday season. I think Shein and Temu have their core customers, but retailers can actually provide value and provide really good products early and often during this holiday season.
All right. I'm glad you brought them up, the two elephants in the room, because I
Yeah.
know we've seen some data from Salesforce indicating that more consumers are going to be using those two apps in particular this year. And I'm going to speak transparently. I mean, I understand why, right? Like anytime
Yes.
there is a new must-have product or, product design or something trending on social media, it seems like you can't go a couple of days without seeing a similar product in some capacity, if not on one, but sometimes both of these apps. So I certainly understand the appeal, but you're saying like, although this is very much a reality that consumers will be going to these apps, it shouldn't necessarily be a cat and mouse game, so to speak, where brands are trying to run in the same race, so to speak, that they do need to stick to their core capabilities, their core differentiation. And I think that point around omni-channel and like the fulfillment aspects are especially critical. So is that fair to say that people should not get too, preoccupied, I guess, by like what those two juggernauts are doing, like that it is just a reality of what the retail industry is now?
It's real that the retail industry is now, and the same conversations we've had about Walmart and Amazon dominating large segments of retail and the grocery industry, but there is still plenty of customer share and the wallet out there to be won. But it's all about your storytelling, your value proposition, your quality of the products, the pricing and promotional strategies, and just the overall experience that you can't necessarily have through Shein and Temu's platforms, which is clearly focused on efficiency and extremely low prices, and the argument can be made with the quality so inferior compared to a full price retailer that there's the quality argument. Pricing, of course, is extremely difficult to compete with, but why would you want to? Because it's really diminish the value of your brand. And of course, impact your margins for sure.
Got it. I'm glad we dug into that a little bit more because I know it tends to be a big point of debate, I think, especially now. So let's dig a little bit deeper into the fulfillment piece because like we made reference to, that is still a very big differentiation for retailers that have some level of store footprint, especially for those larger big box retailers, department stores, et cetera. So let's go a little bit deeper into your expectations. You expect that more consumers are going to be using in-store fulfillment this year? And if so, what can retailers do to kind of prepare not just the inventory side, but I think the people side is something worth mentioning because we have covered the fact that store associates are pressed for time, bandwidth. They're already doing so much, especially during the holiday season, right? So, what should retailers be thinking about knowing that in-store fulfillment, curbside pickup, like these are very much a integral part of not just the holiday shopping experience, but the shopping experience, period.
Yeah, again, buy online, pick up in store and curbside pickup is now becoming an intuitive part of the shopping experience. It's retailers have been working extremely hard on getting ahead of that last mile, and it's become a winning strategy for the Walmarts, the Targets, the Best Buys, and other leading retailers. And it's really driven consumer expectations that they can actually get their products. They only need to wait 2 days to 3 days for shipping or even longer, or assume those costs. Rather, they can get it more conveniently. It may actually inspire them to go to the store and discover new products. If you look at the statistics, 97 million Americans regularly use buy online, pick up in store in 2024. So 34% of the consumers are really looking for this and expect this. And we should expect this number to grow, significantly in the next couple of years. The BOPIS retail sales in 2023 amounted to $113 billion, which is 10% of the e-commerce sales. So it's become an expectation of customers that retailers have these capabilities and they have this offering, but it all comes down to execution, like you mentioned. Having the resourcing and the infrastructure, the overall experience should not be full of friction and long waits and staff that's not dedicated to fulfilling these products, and they have to come up with the sales floor and help you become behind the counter. They should be a dedicated group of people there. They also should be very transparent retailers on how and when you need to pick up your product. And that's where we're seeing a lot of retailers leveraging QR codes and other more seamless ways to get people in and out of the store faster if they just want to get the products and leave, or encourage them to shop around the store while they're there. So I think it's win-win value proposition for consumers and retailers.
Yeah. And going back to marketing, do you think that retailers are finally up to speed on the fact that they do need to be very transparent and communicative around like shipping deadlines, options around omni-channel fulfillment, especially around the holiday season? Because I know we've covered some horror stories in the past.
Oh, totally. I mean, it's been a game changer to know when you receive your product, and the algorithms that Amazon's built over the years have been so impressive. But even at Best Buy, for example, now you could actually see where the product, where is it in the ecosystem, how soon can you get it fulfilled, and you can track these capabilities as well, and using the capabilities that retailers have to track things. So I think it's a matter of offering this up to allow consumers to see where the products are and then make more intelligent decisions. Will I get the product in time? And where can I pick it up? Where I can have it shipped to my home? And what's the most cost-effective way of doing it? So it's almost, again, it's standard expectation now for consumers is that real-time inventory visibility of where the products are along the supply chain and which is the best option for them. And it's up to the retailers to have the staff, the infrastructure, and the technology capabilities to make this work.
Well, and I think an add-on to this whole operations/logistics conversation is it's never too early to think about returns, which we have, I think, realized as an industry that this is just a reality, especially with the prominence of e-commerce in particular. A lot of people buying more than one item in more than one size, people just overbuying to see what things look like in person and then returning the rest. But then also just the nature of the holiday season, right? Like you get a gift, you don't like it, you want to return it. So what should retailers be thinking about/doing now in order to prepare for the inevitable returns period post New Year's?
Yes. Returns has been one of the most friction-filled experiences for consumers, but in my mind, it's time we flip the script and change the narratives on returns from being a pure cost function to an opportunity for growth and transformation, and to learn what are the insights behind the returns. So it's no surprise that returns are historically the most significant pain points for retailers, and in terms of maintaining customer satisfaction, providing convenience for returns, and keep that loyalty going, you have to make it a smooth and really seamless process for consumers. But the third thing here is really retailers need to start to gather data and insights for the reasons behind the returns and really help guide consumers in the future to make the right purchasing decision to reduce the probability of future returns. Gifting is a little different dynamic. At least I think it's hard to control the reason why people who receive the gifts have returned it. But I think there was a way you can learn and you can provide more proactively the fitting, the sizing, and other insights and other product characteristics online or in the store to really provide more knowledge to make better decisions when you shop. It would never mitigate or fully reduce returns, but it might reduce the frequency of it or reduce what's called bracketing, where consumers will buy 3 or 4 of the same product because of the sizing, and it's not clear and it's ambiguous. So that's where I think AI-driven personalization can help retailers offer right recommendations and the right price, but also provide the right fit information so consumers can make the right decisions.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's thinking about not just the reactive stuff, but how to be more proactive and provide content, insight, service to support customers to make the best possible decisions. And post-purchase, is there opportunity for better follow-up and, ensuring, hey, like, are you using this item, especially electronics, right, to the fullest ability? Is it to your liking? Is there opportunity for upsell? Like, I just feel like there are so many more holistic journey opportunities around returns and exchanges that we're probably only scratching the surface in terms of actual use cases.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground in 30 minutes, Brendan, but is there anything we've missed? Trends, predictions for holiday, things that you're going to be keeping an eye on as we progress into the holiday rush?
Sure. I think it's the most critical time of year for retailers, but every single engagement matters, like we mentioned earlier, every single experience, whether it's online, social channels, or in stores, not only during the holiday season, but throughout the year. So it's about consistency of your messaging, your branding. It's all about driving outstanding experiences and curating collections and products that really resonate with consumers. Consumers who are out there navigating across all these different platforms and channels, and retailers now have all these valuable insights. Now it's very critical for retailers to leverage all these insights to drive true transformation and drive outstanding experiences, which will lead to meaningful customer lifetime value and growth. And one bad shopping experience or returns process can permanently ruin the relationship. It's that easy. So it's a delicate balance, and I mean, retailer is the most dynamic and interesting place to work and to observe as an analyst. But also it's areas where there's a lot of friction, but also opportunity for growth. So lots of balance and lots of challenges, but this will lead to a really meaningful long-term relationship with customers if done right.
Awesome. Well, Brendan, thanks so much for taking the time out. It's always great to have folks on the line who can dig into all areas of the customer experience, retail operations, and offer not just some perspectives on the trends and what is happening, but also some actionable takeaways and things that our listeners can possibly apply going into the most critical time of year for many, if not all, folks on the line right now. So, Brendan, thank you again so much for taking the time out to chat with me finally.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Alicia. It was such a pleasure. And everyone enjoy the shopping season and good luck out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone take a breath. It's all going to be okay. And it'll be 2025 before we all know it.
Don't blink.
And, we'll definitely be doing some more holiday episodes leading up to the peak of the season. So stay tuned for those. If you want access to those episodes as soon as they come out, delivered right to your device, be sure to subscribe to the show. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, frankly, anywhere else. We're probably there too. So again, subscribe to the show. That way you get the latest and greatest downloaded directly to your device. And of course, if you have any follow-up questions or points for Brandon, we, as always, share this on social media, mainly LinkedIn, sometimes on X. But we'll be sure to tag Brandon as well, include some helpful resources. That way, if you want to continue the conversation, we can do so on social. But for now, that's it for us, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks for listening to this episode of Retail Remix. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find us on your favorite podcast player. Until next time, keep mixing it up.